दर्शकबिन नमस्कार। हजुर हेर्दै हुनुहुन्छ सिटी वन टेलिभिजन र यो हो कार्यक्रम हेल्थ अपडेट। हजुरले हेल्थ अपडेट कार्यक्रम हरेक ट्युजडे 7:30 बजे सिटी वन टेलिभिजनमा लाइभ हेर्न सक्नुहुन्छ। दर्शकबिन हामी हेल्थ अपडेट यस कार्यक्रममा विभिन्न पर्सनालिटिजहरुसँग हामीहरू हेल्थसँग जोडिएका धेरै कुराहरू गरिराखेका हुन्छौँ। कहिले हामी कुनै रोगको विषयमा कुराकानी गरिराखेका हुन्छौँ भने कहिले हामी त्यो उपचारको बारेमा कुराकानी गरिराखेका हुन्छौँ। तर यसै बीचमा हामीले छुटाएका कुनै कुराहरू रहेका छन्। आज हामी तिनै कुरालाई नि समेट्न हामीसँग एकदमै स्पेशल गेस्ट उपस्थित हुनुहुन्छ। हाम्रो गेस्टको उपस्थितिले हामीलाई यति धेरै प्रभाव पार्नेछ। आज हामीले एउटा रोग अथवा त्यो रोगको उपचार त्यति मात्रै बुझिने छैनौँ। आज हामीले त्योभन्दा बढी हाम्रो सुरु कहाँबाट भयो, यसलाई सुरु कहाँबाट गर्ने अथवा हामीले बुझेका जति पनि डक्टरहरू हुनुहुन्छ उहाँहरू कसरी स्टार्टअप हुनुभएको छ त्यस विषयमा आज हामीले बुझ्नेछौँ। दर्शकबिन ढिला नगरिकन आज हामी हाम्रो एकदमै स्पेशल गेस्टलाई हाम्रो हट सिटमा बोलाउनेछौँ। हाम्रो स्पेशल गेस्टको डेजिग्नेसन अथवा उहाँको एउटा परिचय दिन पर्यो भने एकदमै लामो पनि रहेको छ।
Brought to you by
नेपाल मणिपाल शिक्षण अस्पताल।
Today it's a very special day for Manipal. We have an occasion where we welcome back one of our most prominent establishing person of Manipal. My dear friends, if you don't know or if we want to know the meaning of profound, I feel this person will let all of us understand what is the meaning of profound impact. Because it is unbelievable how one single individual can impact a country and a place itself and the complete population, how they can touch and transform the lives of people in a country and how they can have the impact on generating new doctors which will add value to the whole country. In 1995, when we have had Dr. Nagra here, Dr. Nagra and his wife, Madam Nagra, both are here today. In fact, when the place where we stand today, Manipal, was just a barren land. It was the firing range for Nepal military. That was the time when he had come. And he was given the assignment. He was here with an assignment, basically an ex-Navy person. He was here with the assignment of, having one of the largest organization established in Nepal for the first time, and that too a medical college. And we have this doctor who is basically from community medicine, who got retired from his exemplary service in Indian military organization, Indian military services, that too with gallantry award like Vishisht Seva Medal from the President of India for his services. He has been there, he was working there for 28 years in the Indian military, and at the time when people were thinking about retirement, that stage he took up new assignment and he went on with that with the Manipal group for 22 years. 50 years of magnificent contribution to the society. Today we are really glad to present our mentor, who established Manipal, Dr. Nagra sir. We really consider it as our privilege to have him back here in Manipal today. Just like you all, I was also excited to know, I really wanted to know what he thinks about Manipal, what actually makes him tick, what makes him meet all the challenges, that too in such splendid way, the kind of outcomes which is commendable. We had the privilege of meeting him. I feel for today's generation in Pokhara who might not know about this personality, he is such an inspiring and towering personality. I am sure you will enjoy speaking to him, understanding his thoughts, and he is such a beacon of inspiration for each one of us. I am really glad that we could meet sir here, and the connect between the past Manipal when he was there, with what kind of vision he had established this organization, and from 2022 as a representative of the new management when we come here, what we are trying to do, how these are aligned, whether these are aligned, whether he sees the same spirit, the same team spirit, the kind of organization cultural values, whether he is able to see that it is it has been a question even we were nurturing within us. I'm really glad that today we could present him to you. Please enjoy speaking to him. I'm sure you will find it very inspiring.
Welcome. Welcome, sir. How are you feeling today?
It's an honor, it's a privilege to face a young man like you looking so smart. I feel inspired.
Actually, we are very inspired from you. It's like amazing to be with you, talk to you. You have given a lot. You have taught a lot. You have inspired a lot to Nepal. Please. How do you feel about this, sir?
Well, I can only put it in very simply that few people in life get the type of opportunity that I got to be able to serve the country of Nepal and to look at the situation with regard to health and to see what the country needed most was the development of the health workforce, and for that the pivotal reason was the doctor. And you would have seen some of the statistics. You have it with you. What was the doctor population ratio when we started? You have it with you.
दर्शकबिन यसै बीचमा म अझै एउटा हजुरले इन्फर्मेसन दिन चाहन्छु। जस्तै संस्थागत रूपमा यो स्टार्टिङ हुने बेला त्योभन्दा थोरै पछिल्लो समयको मैले हजुरले ब्याकग्राउन्ड दिन चाहन्छु। We used to have a ratio in the earlier time, that is 1994. At that time, the ratio of the doctors in the urban areas, it was 1 doctor is to 100 patients.
No, 1,000 patients.
1,000 patients. I beg your pardon. 1,000 patients. One doctor was provided or was giving services to 1,000 patients. Similarly, for the rural areas, it was like one doctor was for 41,000
41,000
patients.
And the national ratio was one doctor for 25,000 people.
25,000 people.
Yes.
In
1994.
In the 1994.
Now it is one doctor for 700 people in the urban areas, and maybe even one doctor for 500 in Kathmandu. But for the rural areas, it is one doctor for 17,000.
1,700.
1,700. So from 25,000 we come down to 1,700.
So 2025, the ratio of the doctors in Nepal, in urban areas it is one doctor to 833. Similarly, for the rural areas, it is one doctor to 1,724 patients. There has been a lot of change. This is a huge change that we have been seeing it.
You know, at this stage, I'll interrupt and tell you that in 1995 or 94, when we started, the medical colleges that were in the country was the Institute of Medicine, which had an intake of 30 students. Then BPKHS Dharan started. They also had an intake to begin with of just 30 students. We in Manipal, as a private medical institution, started with 100 students. And that was a little alarming for people who regulate medical education in Nepal, because how could you manage such a large number? So the challenge was not only managing the numbers, but proving to everybody else that the product that we produce from here will be equally good or better than the one in Institute of Medicine. That was the challenge that I took.
Dr. Nagra, I was wondering, like your background, as we just heard about your background was from army. What inspired you to pursue this medical field?
Oh, but because I have a background in the armed forces, that's why I went for my medicine to the Armed Forces Medical College, Pune. That links me with medicine and my background in the armed forces. So that's why I went to the Armed Forces Medical College, Pune as their first batch. And that was in 1962, and we completed in 67, right? And
what about community medicine?
Community medicine was primarily, as I saw it then, way back even in 67. When I looked ahead, I thought what the world needed or countries needed was to be able to provide health care to the poorest of the poor, and in as distant as a place as possible. But it is, to make health care more equitable. It should not be only in the urban areas, because and I had sort of envisioned that in the years to come, public health, preventive medicine, community medicine would become the #1 specialty in the world. But unfortunately it did not. Because it did not, see what happened in COVID. Right? Because just the clinician, just the hospital could not manage an epidemic. You required many more trained people in the health sector to take on an epidemic, and the world was not prepared, let alone Nepal or India. No one in the world was prepared because no one focused on developing the community health services.
Exactly. As I mentioned earlier also that you have been an inspiration for all of us. We are just keen to know about your background, your history. Could you please share?
Okay, I'm born in 1945. I went to boarding school at the age of 5 to the Sherwood College in Nainital, and after finishing my schooling, then I did my pre-med, and thereafter first batch of the Armed Forces Medical College in Pune. And having finished medicine, sorry, then I did 11 years in the army. Then I moved on to the Navy, because in the medical corps you can shift from Army to Navy to Air Force, depending on the need of a specialty. So in public health, the Navy needed somebody, and I moved over to the Navy. So I've done 11 years in the Army, 17 in the Navy, and while in the Navy I was deputed as the Director Health Services of the Andaman Nicobar Islands for a period of 5 years.
Quite interesting. And among this journey, like when you were upgraded to the different roles, at the time you were the health services, as appointed as the health services at the Andaman and Nicobar Island, also as director of the health services. What was the history over there? Like, how did this started up?
See, the Andaman Nicobar Islands are about 1,800 to 1,900 kilometers away from the mainland of India.
Yes.
So it's a vast stretch of sea, and it's a chain of about 200 islands, of which at that time 30 islands were inhabited. And now, as a Director Health Service, the challenge is to provide equitable health care in 300 islands. And the important thing here to note is that the Andamans, by and large, was a forgotten territory by the government. It was not developing the way it should have developed over a period of years. Today, of course, it's a very different picture altogether. But when I went there as the Director of Health Services, we had a total of about 54 institutions serving a population of about 3 lakhs in these 29-30 islands. Whereas in 5 years, we had 104 institutions in position, and that required not only the support of the local government, but to convince the central government to enhance our funding so that we could create the infrastructure, we could train doctors, we could train health manpower, but the focus always was how to provide primary health care in remote islands. For that was the training of the auxiliary nurse midwives, training of the lady health visitors, and trying to establish laboratory facilities, X-ray facilities in different islands. And uniquely, evacuation of patients had to take place from small country craft boat to a bigger boat, then to a ship, and then they would come to our main hospital in Port Blair, which is a 500-bed hospital. And in case of absolute emergency, we had air evacuation through helicopters, services provided by the Navy or the Air Force, and that cost a lot of money for each patient evacuation. But even for that, I could get the support of the Government of India to be able to implement this scheme.
So for this reason, you got the Wishes to Seva Medal Award?
I guess services were recognized primarily because what happened was that in creating the infrastructure, providing the health manpower, we could create a sense of confidence in the people who lived on those islands. That yes, I have got medical cover, because prior to that they had no medical cover. So that was something exceedingly challenging, but at the same time it gave you a real thrill, because in the evening when you walked in the hospital and you found this patient from that distant island is lying comfortably in the bed in the hospital, he's being attended to by a specialist, it gave you a lot of satisfaction.
What was your contribution as well as your team's contribution in these?
See, the important thing anyway is to build a team, and that takes a little bit of time and it takes a lot of motivation. And again, in building a team, it's important to realize that in any venture, the team is composed of various rungs of responsibility, but there are also various services to be provided. For instance, a ward boy, a Safai person, their role is as important, as critical as that of a nurse or that of a doctor. If you give these people respect, you give their profession respect, they join your team willingly. And sometimes they set an example to the doctors as to, I can do such a good job, why aren't you doing your job well? You know, it's one of those chain reactions. And somehow, I'll give you a simple example. I had some gardeners who were not very interested in their work because it's raining heavily, the place is lush green, it's jungle. I wanted some flowering plants so that patients are happy when they walk around. But in spite of whatever I was doing, they wouldn't sort of change their habits. So one day I took them to the ICU, intensive care unit, which overlooked the garden. And I told them, look, this gentleman who is lying here, he might live only for tonight, he might live till tomorrow or day after. When he goes, what is the scene he's capturing before going up? Would he not like to see a beautiful garden before he goes? And there you are. From that day onwards, the garden staff was the best.
That is how, like,
you have to have an individual message of motivation to people at various rungs. For a doctor, it will be different. For a nurse, it will be different. For a safai wala, when the bathrooms are clean. If I have a visiting dignitary, I will start by a ward round from the bathroom. That is to honor the housekeeping staff. You're keeping it so clean that I have got the courage to bring a minister or anyone to this place and start the round from there. So you had to have various methodologies of motivating people.
Exactly. Most significantly for Nepal, you have been, like, you started with laying the foundation of the first private medical college in our country, that is Manipal College of Medical Science in Pokhara as well. So, like, you have started serving from 1995 when this was literally established. You were, before that, your background, you were supporting from background, your teams were running. What were the hurdles that you were facing at that moment?
See, Nepal is so much like India. There's a lot about the caste system. Who will do what job? So like when I came here onto the deep campus, I used to find sometimes the bathrooms are not clean. Why? Because so-and-so Didi has not come or Bhaini has not come. But why can't you do it? No, I can't do it. So I remember, I have here in this campus, myself, cleaned the toilets to show them that I am the dean, I am the doctor, I am cleaning a toilet. Wait, what is wrong? So again, there was this way of sending a message which appeals to that person. By just ordering or by just imagining that this will be done, it will not be done. You have to ensure that you set the correct message.
First, you take the step and everyone will follow it. Yes, exactly.
But they will only follow you if they think you are dedicated to what you are doing.
Like, you were deeply involved in establishing the Manipal College of Medical Science in Pokhara. Like, if I ask you what were the visions that you saw at that moment, what were
See, this college was a dream project of Dr. Ramdas Pai. And when I joined his team and we decided to do this project, he only gave me one line mission statement saying, Dr. Nagra, I want the best medical college of my group in Nepal. That time we already had medical colleges in Manipal and Mangalore. But the challenge to me was, I want the best in Nepal. Now, that was
your
a
vision?
great vision. And now, for that, I might digress from what you have in mind, is what is best and what is better than even the best will be judged by the standard of the doctor that you produce. So when we were having our examinations here, say first MBBS examination, I am entitled to have we have 4 examiners for every subject.
Okay.
2 examiners are to be appointed by the university, and another 2 are to be appointed by the college. So the college invariably has 2 of its staff, a professor and associate professor. But what I would do is, we'd have 2 examiners from Kathmandu University and we would have 1 from our staff, but 1 I will get as the head of department from Manipal, so that they can also assess whether our standard is as good as theirs. And then when we had a final MBBS examination, for 2 years, we had examiners coming, external examiners. They've come from AIIMS India, they've come from Pondicherry, and they've come from BHU, they've come from KEM Bombay. So I ensured that we got examiners from the best institutions in the country to assess the product that is coming out of this college. Because otherwise, people would always look down upon medical education or private medical education. They would think that private medical colleges are lowering the standards of education. My objective was, no, we are going to do a better job than you.
Exactly. I was going to ask you about this also. Like people's mentality or the people's way of thinking regarding the private medical colleges, it has some of the negative in the back of the mind. So like, what is the reality? I want you to know our viewers the reality.
No, the reality is primarily, are you opening a medical college to contribute to the health sector of your country, or are you opening a medical college just because you feel there's money in it? Now there is that misconception, because without money you can't really build infrastructure. Without money you can't pay your teachers and your staff what they need to be paid. So a certain quantum of financial inputs are necessary. After that, you have to see what is the paying capacity in that geography. Like in Nepal, what is the paying capacity? It could be different from India, it could be different from anywhere else. So you have to proportionately do it. But what really happens today is that the fees tend to be raised by the number of applicants. If there are more applicants than seats, then people tend to raise the fee. Whereas the fee can be consistent for a couple of years, but the entrance exam can be tougher so that you get better students.
Yes. So like looking back, what do you consider the biggest impact of the Manipal Teaching Hospital on the healthcare in Nepal?
Now that we've already discussed in the beginning of how we brought down the doctor population ratio from where to where. But I personally feel that from the products that we produced here from the first few batches, I'm so happy to note that many of them have done so well in countries abroad. You would be surprised to know that we had a girl here by the name of Doma Tersing. She's a Tibetan girl from Nepal. She married one of her batchmates and she moved to Australia. And after her internship, when it got to Australia, she sat for the competitive exam in Australia, which is to recognize you for your entrance into the medical profession of Australia. So one day I got a call here in the Deep office coming from Australia. It was the secretary of the Australian Medical Council.
Okay.
And he asked me, do you have a student by the name of Doma Tersing? I said, yes, I do. He said, and then I was a little apprehensive. Is there something wrong? Because this call is coming from a regulatory body.
Yes.
They could be questioning our degrees, they could be questioning anything. So I was apprehensive. But he suddenly came up, he says, congratulations, Dr. Nagra. Do you know your girl is number 2 in the whole of Australia? And she tells me that she is the first batch of a medical college, and that too from Nepal.
Nepal.
Now that is quality.
Yes, exactly. That is how this brings the real positive in the peoples when they hear about this. Like, you contributed to the development of the medical curriculum at Kathmandu University as well. What principles guided your work in the medical education?
No, I was very lucky that I had the full support of the Manipal group. With Manipal University already having established curriculum, everything. But here what was happening is we were following a new curriculum which was recommended by the WHO, the World Health Organization, wherein we were to teach 7 subjects to start with in the first 2 years, as compared to teaching only 3 subjects in India. So this was a big change. It was a great adaptation for all our faculty, even those who came from India. They had never taught a curriculum like this.
Like that. So there was a
yes, so we had to really be committed to work as a team and not to criticize the curriculum but to take it forward. And that is wow, Kathmandu University has now so many colleges. They are following the same curriculum, but the implementation was successfully done here for them to continue with it today.
So like, you have been to internationally, you have worked internationally, and you have been to their curriculum as well. So how do you compare, if we compare about Nepal's curriculum and about the international, what is the differences between them?
That's a very interesting question. In Nepal and India, we are still focusing too much on classes, on acquiring book knowledge. The world is changing. Today in the United States or in Malaysia that follows the UK system, the focus is more on soft skills.
Soft skills.
Your empathy with the patient. Once you can establish a rapport with your patient, win his confidence, and then it is so much easier for you to get the healing process going. Because particularly these days, the laboratory provides most of the data which otherwise in the old times the clinicians got by feel, by history, by eye contact, observation. Today most of it is fed by the laboratory. So it is essential that if the laboratory is providing you this, then at least as a doctor, at least talk to the patient and make him or her comfortable and happy, so that the practice of medicine continues to be something which is humane.
Like, with the decades of the experiences as well, what do you believe are the most urgent need in the community health today, especially for the developing regions?
So for developing regions, the emphasis or the focus has to be in creating equitable health service in terms of the health worker. Whoever is the primary level worker must be very well trained in that limited role he or she has to play. And in doing so, the person constantly needs motivation, constantly needs some financial incentive for good work, and there has to be some avenue for promotion. And that can be done if there is continuous periodic training of the health worker, because the health scene is changing. And the number of health workers to the population has to increase considerably.
That is required very much.
Because once that is there, then they can identify, for instance, if you take maternal and child health, if the female health worker or the DAI is well trained, she can be in a position to say, this patient cannot be managed here, should go to the next level and at the next level they think, no, this patient will require a cesarean, so I will not be doing, I will send it here. That triage of, the difficulty levels to be assessed and what is the maximum care that can be given at that level should be understood.
So, if I ask you about the current condition of the Manipal hospital regarding this teaching profession, are you satisfied with the condition?
You're talking of the Nepal Medical College of Medical Sciences and the teaching hospital.
Yes.
Well, I've been here for 3 days and I visited both the campuses. I'm absolutely thrilled to see what is happening here in the Deep campus, and I'm so delighted to see that most of the staff who served with me are still here, which really means they understand what standards we had. So they must be helping to carry forward those standards. And in the Manipal Teaching Hospital, it's amazing to see the improvement in terms of the equipment that's been introduced, the infrastructure that is there, and the commitment of the group that owns the enterprise now. And I wish them the best of luck with enduring success. But I will also leave behind a message that a hospital is not brick and mortar. A hospital is the dedication of the doctor. If you can get your doctors to improve their dedication to the patient, then you can say that you did better than what we did in the past.
Understood, and that is very important also. As you mentioned also, like previously, we have suffered these things. We have seen these things as well. Like we have come almost to the end of our session also. This I would like you to finally, what message would you like to share with the young doctors, with the medical students and the healthcare leaders in Nepal?
You see, it seems to be a simple question, but it's got a lot of complexities. Sometimes people ask me a simple question, the same simple question is, what motivated you in establishing this institution? Now, in life, rarely you get opportunities. I got an opportunity to do something, and if I had to do something, I might as well do it well. So be it a health worker, be it a doctor, be it a private hospital or government hospital, understand your role. Work with dedication and a vision. And the vision is primarily, can you lessen the disease burden in the country? Can you ensure the suffering is reduced? Can you ensure that you have a healthier population than in the past? And if you work towards that, you not only are able to work harder, you're able to enjoy what you do. And with that, I'll also add one more thing which I believed all my life.
Yes,
If you work hard and with this dedication, you know what your greatest dividend is? Not the promotion, not the money. It is the example that you set to your children.
yes. People will remember you ever and ever.
No, your children will grow up better than you because you were an example.
For them.
Okay.
And at the end, is there anything that you would like to share personally to our audience as well?
No, I'd just like to share my love for Nepal.
It was a very great talking to you, and your inspiring journey as well. It has been a very honored that you are here with me and you have given your time to City One Television as well. And this has been a very great honor for us that you gave so much of your patience, your time, and your honor to this country as well. Thank you so much, sir.
Oh, and let me tell you, I feel embarrassed to be called a dignitary here or to be called anybody outstanding. As I said, I just did my job and I was very lucky to be given an opportunity to do this particular job. And I had a fantastic team.
Thank you so much, sir. So this was for all today. This is City One. You are watching City One Television, and this program is Health Update. And you can watch this program every Tuesday 7:30 p.m. only at City One Television. Hasta Namaskar.